All right. So that's a little bit of intro for something different for you guys. So I have a very, very special guest. In fact, he's trying to get the connectivity on. So welcome to episode 6 of the Real Talk, Real Stories, Real Change with Rogelio Payan. In this episode, really, Rogelio and I are going to discuss the Real Talk Youth Impact and what he has done. You know what I mean? I just wanted to say we had something special for you guys because I'm going to show you this video about Rogelio, and I'm going to give you everything else about him that, and I'll let you explain to him. But I want to just show you this video so that you guys understand the type of a person that's going to be giving you the insights and everything. And then we'll get on from there. Probably won't even have to have any more introduction after that. But watch this video and see if you can relate to this, because he's also an interventionalist with the Real Talk. He's a huge asset. And you know what I mean, he's been, after watching this video, you're gonna kind of like get an idea of what this man is all about and why we try to do what we do with the program, helping the youth and the parents in the Las Vegas area and whatever area we got going on, because we're spreading out. Watch this video. I'll be sitting on the side while he gets logged in and everything else, and we'll bring him on so he can explain why he does what he does with the program. All right. So I'm gonna put this down there. I'll play this. I'm gonna hide myself and get you guys going.
The way my life changed is that the way I look at it now is because I found the Lord. The Lord had to take everything away from me to have me start from scratch. I wasn't raised in a family where we expressed love or anything. We didn't say I love you. We didn't say anything. You just did what you did, and there's no crying. Like my dad taught me, you just go to school, learn, support your family, and there's no crying here. You're a man and you don't cry. I remember growing up in school, I used to get bullied, but I could never bring it home to my family. So the next thing I did is start hanging out with other kids. They offered me the protection and a chance to be able to express myself where I couldn't express it at home. These guys that I grew up with end up being gang members one by one. We're all family, we're all gonna die for each other, we're gonna do time for each other, we're gonna live for each other. For a long time, I didn't know my own identity because I had to hang out with these people and I had to act the way they were acting. I always had a wall around me and I could never be myself. My younger brother, Javier, who was 1 year younger than me, he was the one that everybody wanted around because he was the clown. He made everybody laugh. He didn't hold nothing back. He was himself. Eventually brought my brother into my gang, thinking, look at this thing I found. I feel loved here. I feel like I belong here. And the first day he goes out and he dies. And I should have been killed 10 times over. My grandmother, at one point, not knowing that I heard her, said the wrong son died. He was just one of those persons in life that you knew he was gonna make it. And I ruined that for him. And I lived with that regret for the rest of my life. I seen firsthand that the gangs was just a joke. He left the gang life, met Misty around 96, 97. And then we had our first child. That kept me from the streets, that kept me from the drugs, everything. I changed my whole life. All I did is go to work. I ended up moving up in the ranks in the framing company. I was a foreman. I was gonna be the person that my dad raised me to be, to take care of my family. During that whole year she was born, I always seen that ever since a little baby, she always had a runny nose. So I was always taking her into the doctors. Something's going on, something's going on. She's okay, she has allergies. She's okay, she has allergies. So they kept on pushing this off. So I'm accepting, that's their profession, so I'm accepting what they're telling me. And eventually they found out that she had an immune deficiency where she couldn't fight off normal things. She was in the hospital for a while, and then they finally medically induced a coma. So the organs started failing. The doctor looked at me and he says, "What do I do?" I said, "You do not let my daughter die." Brought her back, the line started moving again on her monitor, and then 2 seconds later again, she flatlined again. And then he looked at me, I said, "Don't stop." And then he did it like 4 or 5 times. My whole spirit and everything just just caved. I said, leave her alone. So I pushed the doctors away and I grabbed her. And the last thing I remember her is being over my shoulder. So that was the last thing I remembered of my daughter. And I tried to help my wife. So I was there for her every minute, tried to bring her back to life because she wanted to end her life. So I made her believe that everything was gonna be okay when I knew it wasn't gonna be okay. And then she got back on her feet, I got her to work. And so when it was time for me to cry, I just acted out towards the world. She said she couldn't handle this. And I explained to her, I said, how can you leave me when I was there for you when I picked you up? You can't do that for me. She said, I can't do it. I can't do it, I need to move on with my life. So she left me. After my mother passed away, I told myself that I'm gonna spend all my time I can with my father because that's all I have left. And then eventually he just started getting sick. He was in and out of the hospital, went in a coma, and then I had to see him flatline. Everything I love is dead. My daughter is dead. My wife left me to the streets. I'm alone. I don't know what to do. So I got into drugs, and then drugs started it just got carried away because I had so much pain and so much anger. And I just gave up on life. I just didn't care no more. I just wanted it to end. Eventually I walked into the doors of a church and I talked to the pastor and he said, what's going on? I said, I just need help. And he just took me in, he hugged me and he says, we're right here for you. You know, I said, I can't do this no more. I'm tired. I don't want to live this life no more. And he said, don't worry about it. He said, we got you. So he prayed with me. And that's when I started changing my life.
Because like I said, I gangbanged for 30 years, they finally turned on me. And if you think you're different, go ahead and give it a shot. I'm not here to judge you. I'm not here to tell you that I'm better than you. I'm not here to say I'm smarter than you. I'm just saying that I was you.
Rogelio's been my mentor. He's helping me out change my mindset. I've been in and out of jail since I was 12. Me, Rogelio, and Andy started our own Bible study group. He's taught me that even if I got enemies, I can't go out to hurt them. If I'm trying to forgive them and stuff, he'll give me advice how to do it and stuff.
Unfortunately, there's a lot of gang activity in Las Vegas, and so what happens is when there's a gang-related shooting or stabbing, we're dispatched by the Metropolitan Police Department. We go out to the crime scene and we work to eliminate the retaliation factor. He is very bilingual, obviously, and he can kind of do a lot of the triage in the community, speaking the language of the community, you know, because unfortunately, predominantly, a lot of the issues that we're having in our city is in the minority Hispanic community. And so, but he's been very, very active, very, very reliable. A lot of the police officers know him by first name. He's been able to connect with them personally. It's been about a year now where he's been very consistent as far as us being able to dispatch out to him and some of the people that do help him on his end. And he's been very, very instrumental and very helpful in some of the recaps in our city.
I need him out here because without him, it'll be almost impossible for me to do it. We do handball, basketball, what other kids we want to do. We do a little running and jogging, but usually it's some physical sports. And then we got a 12-step Bible study. So one day we read these scriptures, then we go to the next scriptures, and then we do the educational part where we do worksheets, like anger management. We tell people how to deal with their anger, and we just go off the curriculum of the book. The old Rogelio, he's gone. He don't exist no more. This new Rogelio, it's a reborn person. If you would have seen him from the past to the present, he's not there no more. When you see him, he's a light. I mean, literally, you could see him glow. When he talks to these kids, he gets their attention.
You know, I've known him since, like I said, since we were young kids, you know, and the things that we made, the mistakes that we've made. I've seen the change in him. You know, I see someone that has grown, you know, that has accepted his responsibilities for the things that he's done in the past. If Rogelio had to go back and serve time, I think that would be a disservice to this community.
Honestly, if it weren't for Rogelio right now, I'd be locked up again. So Rogelio's been helping me out, haven't done drugs, haven't drank or anything. Just stayed on the positive side.
I've taken away so much from the community, and I just want to give back. So I go out there and I try to save these kids. I'm so happy about everything that I'm doing that sometimes I can't sleep. I just play it over and over in my head of what I could have did better too, to improve myself, and I think what I'm going to do better the next time. And I'm just so happy. I feel like my soul's finally healing.
All right, all right, all right. So we got Rogelio right here. Is right here. A second. I'm gonna put him up right here. We just got Rogelio right there. How you doing, Rogelio? Can you hear me? Can't hear you. You know what I'm
You
gonna?
hear me?
Oh, there we go. There we go. We can hear you right there. So I just played your
Hey,
video.
there we go. There we go.
All right. So I mean,
I'm,
we had a
I'm
little
trying.
bit.
I'm trying to get hit with all this technology, man. It's too much technology for me.
That's all right. That's all right. Because, the good part is we had your intro video and everything. So they pretty much had everything, the lowdown and everything. So basically, we're at the point where while I was waiting for Rogelio to get on, I mean, Rogelio is a dear friend of mine. Rogelio is also a big asset to the Real Talk. As you can see us with our green shirts, he's an asset working with the community and the kids and the parents that we also come in contact with. And it's because of his background with the community, as you've seen in that video. He's a triage, and it's using his background, his experience to get to this youth and the parents. And he also started his own outreach program with Andrew, another speaker of ours, called Spiritual Optimistic Warrior. Has become an asset, like I said, in the Hispanic community. And he shows others, especially at the youth detention and the other people that he mentors and others that he touches, that he can get over their environment. Rogelio, after about 10 minutes of technical difficulties, what's going on with you? How you guys doing? How you doing over there?
Man, I'm trying to survive, man. So far, I've done beat the corona, the murderous hornets, and everything else 2020 has to throw at me.
Right. It is nothing. In fact, me and Rogelio was just talking the other day, and I said, you still up on your sign language? And my wife was telling me, like, what the hell are you doing?
Hey, man, I'm telling you, man, sometimes I'll be here watching TV and automatically my hand starts doing the sign language, the alphabet. I'm like, what am I doing here? You know?
So yeah,
Old habits are hard to break.
in fact, Rogelio was just telling me he was practicing his fishing techniques with his wife Jenny over there in the other room the other day, just to get him some kicks out of that. All right.
Yeah,
So,
I'm trying to get a soup sent to me.
yeah. It's just so funny to see gentlemen like Rogelio, Andrew, all the rest of the speakers that I bring on, that I just want to be able to refer back to. Each and every one of us have a different story, a different situation. And, today we explain to us, because we titled this thing, Hands Get Shook and Your Stereo Get Took. I mean, it just explain that to me before I get into the questions out here, Rogelio.
That's how I was feeling when that topic came up. But I'm gonna have to change it a little bit,
Okay.
Because something happened to me last night that it was pretty wild out there. So I'm gonna change it from your hands shook and your stereo took. Nah, I'm from a place where you get your hands shook and your life took. That's exactly where I'm from. And you know what I mean? Because I don't know. Just to tell you a little bit what happened to me last night, Gordon. I was minding my business in my own little pad. You know what I mean? And I happened to open the front door and we got like 40, 50 North Las Vegas police officers everywhere. So as soon as I opened up, yes, and not knowing what's going on, you know what I mean? So I'm being nosy because there's a lot of racket outside. So I opened up the door, and next thing I know, I got about 15 firearms pointed at my head.
No, we're not going backwards no more, right?
No, of course not. They found a dead body about 40 feet from my door in my driveway.
Oh, crap.
And you know what I mean? Because I live in an apartment complex, so somebody killed somebody, and I opened up the door, and next thing I know, me and my wife are getting dragged out by gunpoint.
Oh, I mean, it's like,
You know,
and especially with your background and everything else, right? Once they run, once your ID, it's like,
oh
oh
my
crap.
God. And that's what I'm trying to, and that's what I want to get to the viewers and all that stuff. Just because you change your life, because like I'm working with the mayor's office. I'm doing a lot of
Right,
mentoring with the kids. I talk to different. I mean, I'm real big in the Christian religion, and just because you change, your past will somehow find a way to catch up with you. You know what I mean? Even though
hmm
I was innocent and I had nothing to do with it, but because of my background, automatically it became a victim. I'm not a victim, a suspect. You know what I mean?
right,
Because the way I look, you can never get away from the mistakes that you make as a kid, no matter how hard you try. You know what I mean? Like me and my wife were just sleeping, and next thing I know, I got guns pointed at me, and I had nothing to do with nothing. And just
right.
because and the environment that I live in, and that's just what it is out here. You know what I mean? It's rough out here.
I mean, it just goes to show, like, even though as much as you can change, but once they see, like, that's why I moved from Hawaii to Las Vegas because I wanted a new start because I didn't want to get back into the. But even when I got pulled over maybe a few years ago, when they asked me and they came out drawn, I was like, oh, here we go again. But it's like when they see the change, like I see the change in you. Like when I tell all these other guys, there's only a certain amount of people that we know have changed, but we can stand by it. I mean, we had a situation with you just a few years ago because of almost something similar that you could almost went back in, and that's what that video was all about. And by the grace of
Right.
God and all the support of everything else, like you, I remember me calling you and telling me I'm going to leave it in the hands of God and see what happens. And sure enough, you were one of the few. In fact, if you sneeze right now, you'll go back right inside. That's how serious it is.
Yeah. If I sneeze and the government don't like it, I'm going to do it 7 years.
Right. But it goes to show that this is a couple years ago, so it's all coming out. And as long as you stay the course with what you've been going on, because brother, I know you change, and I know some of these viewers that's going to be watching this on the replay and stuff like that. We know that because I know people that know you and Andrew from the past, right? That
Right.
the person you was before is completely 180 degrees from who you are right now, and that's why I can call you my dear friend. Because like, if we was to, let's say, if we was to run each other on the streets back in the past, it would be a whole different story. But you know what I
Correct.
mean? It's just what it is now, and we can lean on each other. It's like I always check up on him; he checks up on me, even though we're away from each other. But it's like lives go on. But for our viewers out there, let me ask you this, Rogelio. I mean, put all that stuff aside. What made you get involved with working with this at-risk youth besides your situation?
Well, I mean, my whole life has been a downfall, nothing but pain and misery. I mean, I can never remember a happy moment in my life because of the way of everything that happened in my life. So I eventually I got to a point where I was just tired of the way I was living, and I have so much to give. You know what I mean? And
Hmm.
and I just and I felt like I wanted to use my experiences. I felt like God took me out of the gutter, cleaned me up to put me back in the gutter to save more youth because he expects me to use my experiences, my pain, my all the heartache and all the tears just to help the next kids because I will die trying to make sure another kid does not grow up like me.
Right. I mean, this is why we're so. It's just like how I feel the same way. There is only one reason we've been blessed, touched, divine intervention. We're here talking to you guys on this podcast, on this YouTube channel, on this Facebook Live. There's only one way we could have survived what we've been through. There's only
Oh
one way.
God.
There's only one way, because me, myself, and I can speak for you on because we're supposed to be gone or still back inside if we didn't change. So we might
You're
as well
right.
use our experiences to change the youth, even their parents that come across this situation, because it'll help save not just ourselves but also the community going forward at large. Because there's nobody when Rogelio talks on stage with the parents, the kids listen because you're the big homie. You coming up and you showing them, and then I come up, I reinforce certain things, and it just we do a tag team in work because we build each other up. and that's what we're here for. I mean, what's your take on that?
Yeah, man. I mean, well, I think with my background, it helps me a lot with these kids because basically I am going through the same things that they went through.
Right.
Mostly, I mean, each kid has their different situations, and mostly the kids that relate to me is about the drugs, the gangs. I said because I've been doing it for 30 something years, so I'm the future of what they're living right now. You know what I mean? And 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 yeah, we build from each other because we help each other out and to get to our point across, you know what I mean? Like your story will reach other different kids where my story
Right.
will reach different other kids, you know what I mean?
Right.
But we build off of each other to get our point across.
Right. And it's just it's so amazing because at the end of our talks, when we get back to getting back to our talks, in fact, we're working on a building of our own right now so that we can have our own little thing going on. But that's later on the works. All right. Let me ask you this. Besides what just happened to you last night, explain to the audience, the viewers, one of the darkest times being arrested or incarcerated or a story from your past that changed everything for you. I know we got a lot, but give me one.
Oh wow! I mean, there's so many. I mean, I could actually dig inside of a hat and I could pull out
Right.
100 of them. You know what I mean? And I mean, I've been in so many different situations. I've been dragged out of my house and beaten until my nose is bloody, where my face is just covered in blood because of my jacket, because of the way that I am, and because of the reputation that I carried and the reputation that I have out here of being a menace to society and a burden, you know. And I mean, I've been in times where my wife see me get beat up so bad and they just drag me in, you know, and then it's just rough stuff, you know what I mean? I see so many things. I've seen death. I've seen people get killed in prison. I've seen people get killed by inmates. I've seen people get killed by guards. I've seen so much. There's just so much tragedies that I just don't. To me, I finally got to the point where it don't make sense to me no more. You know what I mean? I was like, it's just too much misery, and for what?
Right. For what? It doesn't. For what? For a piece of land.
Exactly.
For a piece of land that you're trying to rep for your block that you don't even own, or
I
something
mean,
that.
I grew up, Gordon, thinking that I was gonna get like a 401k plan or something, you know what I mean? Like maybe a company pin, but I got nothing. I got nothing but 5 felonies and numerous prison sentences.
No, what happened was they even turned on you in that when you needed them the most.
Yes, my own something that I represented that I was willing to die for. I
Right.
did time for that. My brother even died for.
Right.
I guess it wasn't worth nothing at the end because my own peoples turned on me, and, and I mean that was like the biggest heartbreak that I could even get because I dedicated my life more to the gangs and the drugs than I even did my own family. So when that treachery happened to me, I mean it really hurt because I've never really believed that these kind of the people will do that to me. You know what I mean? So after I gave so much of my life away, so basically it
Right.
tells me no matter what I did, it was for nothing.
Right. I mean, all that time because I know you had management variable on you, which explain to the viewers what a management variable is in your when you was doing your time.
I was no matter where I got transferred, no matter where I went, I was always black boxed, and I went to different programs. Smooth, which is a special management unit. It's basically a prison inside of a prison because I'm not allowed to be around other prisoners because I'm nothing but trouble. So I've always done 23-hour lockdowns, 1 hour in a cage with 5 different men. You know, and I was just basically inside of a prison. You know what I mean? And I guess if you're going to go to prison, how bad can it be when they have to stick you in a prison inside of a prison? You know what I mean?
Right.
That lets you know that you're really pretty bad.
Right. I mean, it just goes to show because you learn the most when you had a situation where you said enough was enough. Because I had a situation similar to that, not as drastic, but you mean it's enough to change. At what point in your life did you figure out that this was just all a bunch of shit and BS and just wanted to move on because of the situation with you and your wife? Now, I mean, it's a struggle. Yeah, I get it. But there's one time in your life that you decided to change. What was that?
You know what? And it was a couple years ago, Gordon. It was a couple years ago after I got released, after I picked up my new federal crime, and I was
Hmm.
released on like my own reconnaissance OR, federal OR.
Right.
I looked at my life. I lost all my family while I was in prison.
Hmm.
So I had no more family left. You know what I mean? I lost my daughter, my mom, my brother, my dad, everybody I loved. You know what I mean? And even the daughter that I have that's still alive to this day hates me because I spent so much time in prison. And
Hmm.
then on top of that, my other family that I gave 30 years to finally turned their back on me. I finally got to a crossroads where I'm like, I don't got nothing left. I don't got my blood family. I don't got the family that I adopted on the streets. I have nothing left. So I remember driving with my wife one day, and then she's like, where we're going? I said, something is taking me somewhere. And we drove and we drove and we finally got to a place, and it was a church. She said, what is this? I said, there's something I got to do. And I walked inside this church, and I just felt like I was just tired, Gordon. I couldn't live this life anymore. Everybody was, it was just no loyalty. There's no love. I don't know what I was doing it for. And I've always heard about this guy named God. I never understood him because I was never a religious person.
Hmm.
And I just said, you know what? Let me try him. You know what I mean? I tried everything else. And let me tell you something, Gordon. That was the most and best experience that I ever had. You know what I mean? Because as soon as I accepted him in my life, I'm not going to say overnight, but I don't know how it works, but my life has changed. He took
Right.
me away from all the pain that I suffered my whole entire life. You know what I mean? Because my every day was just a tearful day because I lost everything. And he filled me back up with love. And now he gave me a purpose, you know. And now instead of being a gang member, now I'm a soldier of God. And I
Hmm.
try to do everything in my power to show these people, because if God could change me, he could change anybody, because I was the worst of the worst. And I could put it on his camera right now, and I show you my record. It's about 4 or 5 inches thick. You know
Oh
what I
yeah.
mean? And I got no. I mean, I was just the worst of the worst. You know what I mean? I'm sure there's worse people than me, but man, I did a number on my job. And you know what? It just took for me to lose everything, and the treachery on the streets. And all I had to do was try God. And you know what? I've been blessed ever since, Gordon. And I'm a happy camper.
I mean, I know you are a happy camper because every time I see Rogelio, I see the rest of the guys, I see Andrew. There's a certain glow about all of us, even though we try not to. We try. We still have a certain image. We try to get, but we still brothers in such a way that you mean when we say that Rogelio's changed, I've changed, and we want to get more people to change in a way. Not just doesn't have to be like Rogelio said. It doesn't have to be overnight, guys. It takes a little while to actually accept and see the signs and everything that's going on. Because when you take a look at when you take a look at the crap that you've done, and then you try to think about now, and you tell yourself like, what the hell was I thinking back then? When you look at it now, is it whether it's called wisdom, divine intervention, whether it's called experience, and you try to do these for the young kids, and you see these guys going on the same destruction as we went on, it's pretty sad. You know what I mean? Because we see them all the time before all this COVID hit, right? I mean,
Right.
even though like you said, it's a struggle daily between going to work, paying the bills, doing stuff, but you're in a good place mentally, spiritually, and psychologically, that you're happy with it.
You know what? I try to explain to these kids that, it took me till I was in my 40s to realize that I was going nowhere fast.
Right.
And
Right.
and if I explained to myself, if I could get it at your age, 18 or younger or whatever, I mean, by this time that I am where I am at right now, I would be retired. I would have a nice
Hmm.
little home going on vacations. But no, because I messed up my life for so long and I couldn't get it. And that's the bad thing about it, because back when we were growing up, they didn't have a program like this. They didn't
No.
have no one telling us.
No.
Our role models were other gang members, were other drug dealers, and we looked up to them because that's what they taught us. And I would love that it was a program like this back then. At least give me a hand to let me
Right.
know, and then I
Right.
got options. You know what I mean? Like I tell these kids right now, I said, man, if you could get it right now and use my life as a plan, what's going to happen to you, because it's not if it's going to happen to you, it's about when it's going to happen to you, because it's
Right.
going to happen. You
Right.
know
It's
what I
going to
mean?
happen.
It,
Yeah.
it might happen today, it might happen tomorrow, but it's going to happen. It's going to
Right.
happen. And living this lifestyle, there's only two things that you're going to get out of here. You're either going to catch a bullet or catch a case. You know what I mean? There's
That's it.
nothing else. You know, or catch the corona. One of you're going to catch something. You know what I mean?
I mean, it's just that's what it is, because I know when I called you the other day, you was going to mentor a young gang member. How'd that turn
Right.
out? How'd that turn out? I mean, you see him in you right now.
Well, you know what, Gordon? These kids, I don't know, they're a hot mess, because I try to understand this new generation and the way
Mhm.
they're thinking is. I mean, they're a hot mess, and you know what I mean. And they believe in this lifestyle, and I understand, because I believed in this
Right.
lifestyle 100%.
Right.
You couldn't tell me nothing different, that my homeboys didn't love me. It took
Right.
experience to find out they really didn't love me. And like I said, these kids, they're knuckleheads. You know what I mean? But all I can do is give them the best advice I can give them, and open up my heart and show them what's going to be their future. You know,
Right.
like I had a kid yesterday. One of my other kids, he's a gang member, and the people that I work for, the mentoring, he calls me, tells me that the probation officer called him, tell him that one of my kids went on the run. He ripped off his GPS, ankle bracelet, and all this and all that. So I called him up. I said, "What are you doing?" You know what I mean? I was like, "How come you didn't tell me this?" He's like, "Well, I got trust issues." I said, "Well, I got trust issues." I said, "But you know, you got to
Yeah.
understand though. I'm not one person out here that's going to bat for you." So I said, because I'm going to bat for you, I said, I'm sitting here talking to your probation officer, and I bought you one day. One day. He told me to let you know that you got one day to fix this, or you're going to get a warrant for your arrest, and you're going back to juvenile prison. I said, I told my kid, I said, "What are you doing?" I said, what is all this worth for? You know what I mean? Well, you don't go back to jail for what? Just because you want to hang out with your friends here and there? I said, you got to understand, man, you're throwing your life away, because going back in and out of jail is like a revolving door. It don't stop. And if you start the revolving door as a juvenile, it won't stop as an adult. And then it'll just keep going. You'll be in and out your whole entire life. And by the time you realize it, your whole life is gone.
Right. I mean, it's just so similar for us. I mean, I've been in and out so many times. It's not even funny. It's just how many more disappointments I'm gonna have. How many times I'm gonna hurt somebody. And actually, I only was hurting myself. But it took what? I'm like 52 right now. It took me this long to actually get everything settled in. And you know, it's always gonna be a work in progress. All right. Before we close out, Rogelio, what message would
Yes.
you tell the parents of the youth that we try to change? Because it takes two, right?
It takes, you know what? I believe it takes a village. It
Right.
takes a village to raise a kid. The parents can't do it alone. And that's why we're here for them. And then, like, we all can piggyback off each other to help us raise our kids. And the message I got for these parents is, do not give up. Don't give up, no matter how bad or what they do. You know, they're just trying to find a way to express themselves. So no matter what, don't give up on them. You love
Right.
them. And give them all the attention they need, because that's all they're searching for. They're searching for acceptance, and they're going to find it somewhere. If they can't find it at home, they're going to find it in the neighborhood gang.
Right. I mean, like I tell some of these parents, we're going to, people like us in the past are going to be there with open arms because we're going to use them. And they don't understand it. I mean, that's just how it is. We're going to use them to do our dirt, do the dirty work, do the stuff, because we've been there also, trying to impress somebody, trying to put the work in, trying to make a name for themselves. It doesn't matter what situation is. And the parents, sometimes they don't understand that there's people like us that's trying to help, that's going to give them the real talk. I mean, it's just, but I mean, that's a good message for something that's going to be there for you. All right, Rogelio, how can they reach you? I know you and Rogelio started your outreach if you're in the Las Vegas area, because this thing is going to be placed on YouTube, podcast. Where can they reach you?
Well, they can find me on my Facebook. They can find me on my YouTube page, or they can find us in the streets, because that's where we're at.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Our church is our feet, and we just go out there to serve and love the Lord, and show these young men that try this. You know what I mean? We make them the deal. Try this for 30 days. If it doesn't work for you, then do what you do. But I promise you, God will save you.
Right. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks so much for being with us this week. If you have anybody that needs this type of help, this type of, I wouldn't call it an intervention because it's like it might be a divine intervention with us speaking to your the parents or the kids at the school, at the youth detention, or anybody else needs to hear this message or wants to be part of our program, because we're always looking for good brothers and sisters that have done the change like us, want to be part of something bigger than yourself. Please reach out to Rogelio or me or myself on Facebook, or go out to www.realtalkyip.org and let's see if we can become part of the family and do something bigger than what you got going on. I had one of your homies reach out to me that's all the way down in Mexico. But he's
Oh,
doing the
wow.
same thing. Yeah, so it's one of your homies, right? If you
Right.
enjoyed this episode, don't forget to please like, share, subscribe to get these automatic updates, because if you're listening to this on a podcast, if you're watching this on YouTube, we're always looking for people that want to change and help others. And I just want to say, Relio, thanks for being you. You know, you always got me out here at your side. I've always been there for you, vice versa. And to our viewers, reach out to any one of us. All right. Have a good night.
Please do. All
All
right,
right.
brother.
All right,
All
brother.
right.
Yeah. Bye
All
bye.
right.